Hey, you guys, part 2 of the codependency video I started earlier. I was talking about the darker, dirty sides of codependency, the real truth of how bad it can get, okay? This is going to be a several part thing. I want to keep this kind of organized, guys. I appreciate you watching my videos just for educational purposes only, spreading awareness, sharing perspective, entertainment purposes, however you want to see that. But I want to keep this kind of organized. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't know if I'll get to it entirely in this video, but I want to get into some of my past and my struggles with codependency in the past, starting at a very young age, and then getting better for many, many years. You know, that's why I personally think codependency is on a spectrum. I think that it comes in degrees. And I also think that it's almost like a substance abuse addiction or disorder. I feel almost like once you have something like this inside of you, that you can recover. But, you know, as far as I'm looking at it like our healing journey, just as human beings on earth, just like the way we learn, I feel like we are eternal students. I feel like we do not stop learning till the day we cross over out of this dimension. We will be learning all the way. And, you know, I feel the same way sometimes about some of our traumas and the things that we go through in life. It'll be, you know, different for everybody, but I feel like we're always healing, okay? I feel like we can heal a lot, but I don't feel like we are ever like completely 100% I'm healed. I think there's always something inside of us that could be possibly triggered again if we aren't careful. If we don't take the proper measures to maintain all of that healing work that we did. It's kind of like a drug addiction. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Once an addict, always an addict. They have to go to the meetings. They need to touch down with their sponsor on a regular basis. And a lot of times they get away from that and they think they got it under control. I don't have to go to meetings anymore. I don't have to, you know, use the tools that are going to keep me sober. And a lot of times they relapse. Same thing with codependency. And in these segments, either this one or the next, I'm going to get into it with you guys of how I relapsed in codependency after many, many years of being okay, of casually dating and finding my own self and my own self-worth, my value, my strong identity, my passions, my goals, and really not getting too committed with anybody or too wrapped up with anybody, really just living on my own, going to school. And, you know, for the most part, yes, there were some turbulent years. There were a couple situations here and there that I did get involved in, that I did get my heart broken, just different situations. But for the most part, for about a 15, 16 year period of my life, I did really, really well coming out of codependency, progressing more and more each year as I got older, progressing more and more with each new friendship or dating situation that I would get close to. I would learn from each situation. I was also in therapy sporadically and studying on my own. And so, you know, I had a long, long time that I did very well. And then, you know, I got to a point where I guess I thought it was over. I got ahead of myself. And, you know, around age 40, got involved with someone. I allowed, you know, because there's a reason why I allowed this to happen. There's a lot of reasons why. I fell in love with this person, first of all, very deeply. And I was really feeling this at that time in my life. I had hit a very mature point in life. I had done a lot of emotional and spiritual work over the years. And I just felt ready for this. I was, you know, there 100% in that feeling, very open heart, very ready to give of myself and really make that commitment. And, you know, it ended up being a very toxic situation with a person who was not ready. But yeah, for years and years and years, although, I was healing and doing well with codependency issues and my childhood trauma issues. And, on one level, I considered myself to be doing very well and very independent and very much of my own identity. And I think every human should know that. I think every human being should be able to live on their own if they had to not be afraid of that, to know what they enjoy, and to literally learn to have a relationship with themselves. I had gotten to that point through a lot of heartbreak, though. It took a lot of hard work to break me off of those codependency issues. I'm going to tell the story of how that progressively started to get better for me, and certain key players that came into my life that taught it to me. Or just by having my heart broken or pushed a certain direction that drove me to go into that self-exploration point. And so I will get into that whole progression, but after that many years, I also could see a downfall to it. Okay. While I could see all the good points of the work I had been doing, I could also see the other side of it, okay? I could see that I had gotten pretty extreme as far as no commitment. I had gotten really tough. Really out there. And I was really commitment phobic. Even though I had a couple times where I had fallen in a crush or, started dating someone and catching feelings and then, either kind of lose that within a few weeks and just, no, I'm not ready for something like that, or either they would start feeling that way. But after all those years, I also started seeing it like, damn, girl, you've kind of gone too far. That's it. I had kind of resigned myself to being alone forever. I was coming up on my 40th birthday, 2 marriages, 2 divorces, a 10-year on again, off again relationship where we weren't really committed to each other, and several dating situations over the years in between. And I was just like, enough. Okay. Been there, done it, seen it. I'm not finding the chemistry. I'm not finding the compatibility. Things are just not matching up for me. So I'm going to go within myself. I'm going to leave that up to God or the universe. I'm going to be happy on my own and continue my path. But I had really started resigning myself to just, it was kind of disappointing for a girl, of course, deep, deep, deep down. But for the most part, I was happy. I had my place, my kids, my plans. I was okay with that, but I started feeling like you're too far out there. And then when this other person came into my life and he seemed to be so serious about commitment. And I knew he had been married before, and I just thought, wow, this is sudden. This is throwing me off. This is too fast. I did get alarm bells, but I just really felt within my soul that this was the one. I had such deep feelings for this person and so much love for this person. And I was right. My love for him only grew and grew and grew deeper and deeper. And it kept growing as the years went by. I was right about myself and my love for him and my commitment to him. But I was off about his. Okay, there were some things that were really, really wrong with where he was coming from. But I made that decision for lots of different reasons. And I felt like, you know what? You need to face yourself. Okay, that was partly me trying to go, hey, you've done everything else. You've been the single girl. You have stood up for yourself. You've worked on codependency issues. You know that you're not with somebody because you need them. You're with them, and that was threatening to him for some reason. I guess some people want to be really, really needed. And I get sick of hearing that. Well, all human beings need to feel needed. Not really. I guess, but I think that can get pretty toxic. I feel like people should be together because they enjoy each other's energy. They enjoy connecting and sharing life together. They enjoy sharing this life experience together. And then helping each other out being there for each other when they're sick, doing a favor here and there, catching each other's back. That's the reward you get when you actually end up being a true and good partner. Then you're going to get rewarded because you're going to have somebody that's there for you. Because you didn't take advantage of it. You didn't fucking use it or manipulate it. You catch my drift. That's a reward. That's not free. That's not something you get off the top. A lot of these people are fucked up in the head thinking that that's something they deserve off the top. No, that's a reward of being a good, true, decent, loyal partner. Then you get rewarded with that loyalty, submission, back and forth, taking care of one another, being there for one another in the hard and dark times. Yes. But, that's not something you're going to give right off the top. No. And I do think people need to prove themselves to each other. Absolutely. But codependency, oh my God, I have a long history with it. I've struggled with it. But I decided at that time that I needed to go ahead. I'd already kind of done things from all the other angles, but I had almost gotten so good at being on my own and worked on myself so much that I was commitment phobic. Like there for a while, anybody would try to get too close to me, I was like hard. I was like, you know what? We can hang out and shit, but I'm not trying to fall in love or nothing. I'm not looking for a relationship. Because I already had somebody I was kind of connected to mentally and emotionally, and we would see each other sometimes, and that was good enough for me. I had gotten used to living that way. And, I got pretty hard. I honestly didn't think that I could commit to anybody. And it wasn't because I was a cheater or because I'm super loyal. I cannot handle more than one man at a time. Once I'm in love with somebody, all other people are invisible to me. That's just who I am. Period. They just are. I just don't have any interest. I really don't. But, yeah, at that time, I was just feeling that. And I felt like, you know what? It's time for you to step up your game. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, but I knew I had these feelings and he had these feelings. And I thought, you know what? Don't do like you normally do. You don't need to shrink back and, a week or two and, I can't do this. And, anything that you need to grow at is going to take some work. And you might flinch about it after a while. You might have some road bumps to get over. And I did. These fears came up with he and I. And he never, ever looked at anything in the right way. He always looked at everything that I went through as some kind of damn threat to him. It was so crazy. When I was looking at it like, this is a great achievement. This means the world to me. That, even if fears came up about him, and I did get flinchy for maybe a little bit and go, oh, wow, this is really real. I've really committed to this. There's a man in my bed every morning, and I'm fixing sandwiches, and oh, wow. I remember in the early days for a little bit, it did take some getting used to. It was surreal. Because of the way the relationship happened. And it was wrong for the way he pushed in on me like that. It really wasn't fair to me. It's a long, long story, and I'll tell it one day. He came in under tragic circumstances in his life. He bum rushed me. Basically, I was just giving a friend a shoulder to lean on and some support after he lost his child. But he starts taking it very far and very, very fast. Basically not giving me time to get to know him, and it wasn't fair to me. I knew him for years and years from a distance, but anytime you're going to get in a serious involvement with somebody, make them slow down. But these narcissistic and toxic types of people, they don't want you to know who they are. That's why they move so fast. Yes or no? Yes or no? Are we going to be together forever? Are we going to get engaged? Are we going to get married? They will really, they think they can just, but they don't know any better. These people that have been married for like 20-something years, they got married when they were teenagers, and they're divorcing in their 40s. they don't have a fucking clue how to date. They don't know anything about the dating world. I know this because it happened to me too. I had to get taught real quick. Okay? It was kind of shocking after being married for years when I was younger and then getting back out in the dating world. It was so strange. I thought it's not necessarily toxic. It is kind of codependent, though. I thought, after being married all those years, that that's just what people did. They just fell in love with somebody else and instantly got settled down again. That's just what people do, right? They just pick out somebody else and settle down. Pick out somebody else and settle down. Pick out somebody else and settle down. That doesn't work? Well, pick out somebody else and settle down. The whole goal is to try to get everybody to settle down, settle down, settle down. No. But see, people who have been married for a long number of years and they haven't ever really dated properly, they've never really lived that single life on their own and gotten to know themselves as an identity all on their own with no partner. That's always a good thing to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Learning yourself, loving yourself, knowing your passions, taking your time, just chilling with yourself and dating someone casually from a distance or, having companions here and there, but nothing too serious. It's okay to do that. They don't know how, okay? And it takes a long time to get out of that married mentality, that codependent mentality. And it took me a long time. But anyway, by the time 40 years old came along, I had already done all that. I had already gone through everything this guy was just starting to go through. And I was ready to settle down again. I meant every word that I said. I felt it 100%. And I fell into I relapsed. This was a very toxic human being, though. And he wasn't willing to work on his toxic issues, and he lied to me about a lot of things. And a trauma bond formed between us. There was a lot going on, okay? And one of my worst fears, I somehow relapsed back into toxic codependency and trauma bonding and emotional prison and dynamics that were just everything I had ever worked against, everything I did not want, because I knew in the long run that meant I would lose him, because I knew in the long run I was not going to go down with something like that, and I almost did. It got very dark, okay? And coming up soon, I'm going to tell you guys about how low I went for that relationship. How low I actually had to go for so many reasons that he required of me to go that low. That his pressure and his personality, his alcoholism, his toxicity, his insecurities, his low self-esteem. I'm going to tell you guys in the next part how dark and how low I had to start giving parts of myself away. Little by little by little, more and more and more of me was being stripped away so that he could feel better, so that he could feel superior, so that he could feel more loved. And it got pretty dark. It got pretty bad. There was something else I wanted to mention. I'm gonna tell you guys, get into that in the next one. And it's weird how you will know what somebody's doing. A lot of times, it's not rocket science. You know what they're doing. And you know what they're thinking. You know it because you did it. That's how you know. And that really offends some people, especially a highly narcissistic person who wants to think that they're in complete control of your mind. They want to think that they have you manipulated and fooled, and in a little box at all times. That you are their loyal servant and that you only see what they tell you to see. Yes, a narcissist wants to believe that, especially a covert narcissist. And you will see them lose their fucking mind. You will see them completely flip shit if they for 1 second catch on to the fact that you're thinking for yourself. That you still believe in yourself and what you saw, what you know. You've just been having to go along with their bullshit story because they're such a big baby about it. Because you know that they're going to stomp and throw a fit and whine and cry and pressure and gaslight and deflect and lie and temper tantrum and all of those things if you stand your ground about what really happened and the fucking truth. So you have to if you're going to stay with that person, you kind of have to back down and go, yeah, okay, I agree with you. Okay. And they constantly keep you walking on eggshells like that. The fuckers. Just saying, it's the truth. I'll never forget that. But they will go ballistic. It really freaks them out and gives them anxiety because they want to be in control of your brain. They want to be in control of your entire life. Even if they're not a person that acts like your everyday narcissist. Even the broke down, dirty clothes wearing, poor, pitiful motherfucking, helpless, poor me, nobody likes me. Even them. They are arrogant, entitled, and they have their own fucking agenda for you in the back of their brain. All right? And so, y'all, 22 minutes. I'm going to clip this in a minute so it doesn't get too long, and I'll come back in a part 3 to give you guys more details about how dark and twisted codependency can get, how it can fuck up your life, and how low to the ground I actually went, how deep-rooted my codependency issues were. And how I didn't realize it. I thought I was ahead of the game. I thought I had done all of my healing. And then this person comes along and I fell back into this. And I had a lot more healing to do. We triggered a lot in each other and a lot of healing work had to be done. A lot of shit had to come up to be purged. And we both had triggered each other's codependency issues and abandonment wounds and traumas. And it was just a mess. It's a mess. And it got very, very dark, very, very messy, and give me 5 seconds. I had a brain flap. Yeah, you just don't want that. You don't want codependency in your life. It isn't cool. And it doesn't just mean you are dependent on somebody physically. Well, I depend on them for a ride. I depend on them for rent. I stay with them. They pay the bills, whatever, what have you. That's nothing. Okay, that's part of it. But no, this is something inside of you. Codependency. I talked about it in the other video. It's where you really, and I'm still going through it, okay? This very last relationship was hell on me. Just when I thought I was really healed and ahead of things. And now, granted, I was healed in a lot of ways. I had done a lot of work on myself, and for that I was grateful. So I knew I had some advantage, okay? But even with all of that, I still fell into that shit again and became just as codependent as I ever had been before, if not worse. And I had to really get to the bottom of it. And I was flabbergasted with myself. Like, Jesus, there are some deep-rooted core wounds inside of you that you clearly haven't looked at all the way. That and I could see obvious things. This was an alcoholic. My father was an alcoholic. I could see obvious triggers. And this person put me on the spot. And I remember when the trauma bond kicked off, when the codependency really kicked off. And you almost develop like a Stockholm. Like, you fucking know all of a sudden, you know you're being done wrong. You know you're in the right and that you deserve better than that. And they have created a betrayal upon you or something that has triggered this in you. Well, for him, it was basically making me feel, he didn't say this to me, but his pressure after we had been dating about 4 or 5 months and really just helping him through the grief of losing a child, it was really not a time to be pressuring me into a relationship. It wasn't going to be fair to me, and I knew it. But anyway, I could just tell by the way he said things and his pressure. Yes or no? Yes or no? I really need to know. Are you going to stay with me or not? Are we going to be together? Are we going to do? And I would say, stop. Please stop. You're scaring me. I mean, I'm giving you a break here and some slack that you've been, married for almost 20 years. You got a divorce. You were not out here in the dating world. You're a little rusty about talking, knowing kind of what to do out here in the dating world. I'm going to give you a break on that. You're traumatized. You've lost a child. But I also smell a fish here. I'm sensing something is really off, man. Slow down, please. Please quit hounding me every day. Please quit obsessing. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Okay, man, I love you too, but, you do know, don't you? I didn't want to have to explain all these psychological things to him. I'm like, you do know, right? Like, just slow down. These are not things that you're supposed to talk about so quickly. Just like that. But my feelings came for him very quickly too. And I meant it. And I still mean it. That was my life partner as far as I was concerned. That was going to be my husband as far as I was concerned. And that was going to be my last life partner as far as I was concerned. I fell in love with him. My love for him grew very deep over the years. And that was it for me. Because I am already quite fulfilled inside myself as a human being. I don't feel like anything's really missing from me. Because I don't have external locus of control, like Pete Sapper at the Chosen 144 channel teaches. I'm not all the way based on external locus of control. I am not all the way externally motivated. It's better if you can be internal locus of control. And your motivation comes from within. That way, you are more genuine and authentic when it comes to your friendships, relationships, and how you conduct your life. Because you're not there because you need them to motivate you or you need something from them. No, you're fulfilled and you're less likely to cheat. You're more loyal. And you can be more satisfied in the relationship, more content with just that one person because you're already so content with yourself. You see, only people that have a really major external locus of control, they're always looking out here somewhere. They're missing the point. They don't have it here. They're missing the point. They're always looking out here for somebody, anybody. Somebody entertain me. Somebody keep me company. Somebody, anybody. That would feel really shitty to be at the mercy of the fucking world like that. The ultimate freedom is to get it yourself. Here. Internal locus of control. Your own motivation, your own self-esteem, your own self-respect, your own ideas. Create a relationship with yourself. Okay? First and foremost. But, yeah. It's crazy. I'm sorry I get off track and I lose my train of thought. Codependency. Let me get back on track. Codependency. What was I saying, guys? Yeah, I was talking about how everybody needs to at least learn that they are okay on their own, if they have to be on their own and not. It just makes you a much better partner if you're not codependent, okay? That's another reason why codependency is bad. Because extremely codependent people who have never ever worked on any of it, it's hard to trust them. It's hard to leave them alone for 10 minutes. Because they are so desperate. They have to have someone else's energy all the time. That's also a narcissist, a covert narcissist. But toxic codependents are like that too. And the covert narcissist is a toxic codependent. They look and act just like a toxic codependent. That's how you recognize a covert narcissist. They don't look and act anything as much like the grandiose narcissist. Okay? So keep that in mind. But codependency, I'm telling you. So in part 3, I'll be back and I will be detailing sort of my little progression, how my codependency started and how I grew up, and my marriage, and how naive and, getting out into the dating world after years of marriage, how this world kind of kicked me around and I had to learn about the dating world, and how certain key players came into my life and really taught me things, how I started coming into my own, the years of therapy. I'll go through that timeline, the heartbreaks, a lot of things I went through, back and forth, different things, and being on my own for a lot of years, going to school, writing songs, making music, raising my kids, really finding myself, all the stages. And then at 40 years old, wanting to settle in again, thinking I had found the end, my life partner, and falling back into toxic codependency again after all those years. Really my worst fear. I was telling you guys about when the trauma bond triggered off and how that person was making me feel in the beginning. They were putting so much pressure on me within the first few months that I knew that was a red flag. I knew I was worth more than that. It really broke my heart. It felt unfair. He was drunk all the time, though. He had lost a child. And this person, again, I was really just trying to be a friend and help him through this time. And all this pressure was coming at me. And I just felt like because of the way he was pressuring me like that, not even showing me the consideration of just chilling back and saying, hey, girl, we got plenty of time. You're worth it. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not in a hurry at all. That's what a man says when he's really interested in you. And he kicks back and he respects your schedule, your life. He gives you all the space and time you need. If he's not giving you that, run. Because I've already had this happen to me twice, if not 3 times. Somebody come bulldozing into my fucking life with that quick, fast, in a hurry attitude, and they were full of shit. Any man or woman that wants to take interest in you as a true and authentic friend and partner, they will slow the fuck down.